What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlemania here, back with another video. Wrestling is predetermined. We all know that, right? Most of the time matches are carefully planned accordingly, with a number of planned spots to help storyline progression. Still, mistakes can happen. Wrestlers can miss moves, miss cues, or worse yet, botch the ending to a match. Thankfully, botching an entire ending to a match is rare in the WWE, but here are 10 instances of them. Number 1. The Great Khali eliminates himself. Khali was brought into the WWE for two simple reasons. Number 1, he is a legitimate big guy and seen as a monster in Vince's eyes, and number 2, increasing viewership in India. Sadly, one of those reasons was not for his wrestling skills, as Khali had the grace and wrestling skills of Andre the Giant trying to maneuver himself in a wheelbarrow. Well, his in-ring skills sank to a new low when he faced Edge in a two-man battle royal. We're pretty sure that most of you know the rules of a battle royal and imagine that all wrestlers should know them. Well, not Khali. During the match, Edge was attempting to escape Khali's clutches when he slid under the bottom rope, hence he wasn't eliminated. Khali, on the other hand, climbed over the top rope, eliminating himself by accident. Both referee Mike Chioda and Edge ignored it completely and carried on with the match. However, this didn't stop Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler sniggering at the obvious botch, with Cole remarking, "Am I the only one? Did the official pay attention to anything that just happened?" Number 2. Vickie Guerrero misses her cue. We can all agree that the Eddie Guerrero vs Rey Mysterio feud over the custody of Dominic certainly wasn't one of WWE's best storylines, as it felt like a Spanish soap opera. Well, thankfully the feud was coming to an end during their ladder match at SummerSlam 2005. Throughout the storyline, Vickie played a conflicted role and was supposed to be decisive in the finish. The plan was for her to charge down to the ring, distract Eddie and push him off the ladder, leading to Rey winning the match and ultimately getting custody. Although the match concluded with the right winner, it didn't happen the way they wanted it to. Instead, the two had to improvise, with Rey shaking Eddie off the ladder and nearly blowing out his knee upon landing. Seconds later, Eddie then quite noticeably yelled out, "Damn it, where the fuck was Vickie?" His short tantrum, however, has been edited out on further releases of the pay-per-view. Number 3. Mark Henry vs a cage door. Most of us have seen Kane's debut in the WWE, where he managed to rip off a cage door in order to enter the Hell in a Cell. It's ripped off so easily because a cage door is gimmicked. Well, cast your mind back to an episode of SmackDown where Henry was feuding with Batista. During a match between Batista and Rey Mysterio vs Eminem, Henry was supposed to come down to the ring, rip the door off and interfere so that Eminem could win. Embarrassingly though, he couldn't figure out where to rip the gimmick door, leading him to awkwardly trying for a substantial amount of time, resulting in the WWE editing the attempt out. Poor Mark Henry was made a fool of as the ring crew forgot to gimmick the door, so all credit to Mark Henry, he ripped off a legitimate steel chain. Number 4. Royal Rumble 2005's double elimination. Batista won. No wait, Cena won. These were the mixed reactions of fans who witnessed both Batista and John Cena go over the top rope and land at the same time during the 2005 Royal Rumble. This led to an irate Vince McMahon who, on his way to the ring, blew out his quad and then on the way back blew out his other quad. The finish was totally unplanned, as Batista was supposed to dump Cena and hang on to the rope. He unfortunately slipped and came tumbling down with him. Vince restarted the match and the match finished as planned. It was a decent rumble, but one that was overshadowed by the botch finish. Number 5. Ricky Steamboat can't count. The much anticipated match between Ricky Steamboat and Rick Rude should have been a classic, or at least the best match on the Royal Rumble 1988 card. Sadly, what we got was a boringly paced match with too many holds and a botch that should have ended the match. Rude had Steamboat in a submission, and since the tap-out rule hadn't been implemented into the WWF at the time, you could only win by submission if your opponent is unresponsive by having his arm lifted 3 times and it drops. Well, Steamboat was to raise his hand on the 3rd attempt, but since he couldn't count, he dropped his arm 3 times, so technically Rude should have won by submission. Referee Earl Hebner ignored it, and Steamboat managed to hold his arm up on the 4th attempt. The botch didn't stop Jesse Ventura from calling it out, and Vince awkwardly trying to cover it up. Number 6. Papa Shango misses his cue. Having someone kick out of Hogan's leg drop was unheard of back in 1992. The incapacitating leg drop was not planned to be broken at Wrestlemania 8 when Sid kicked out of it. In fact, the planned finish for the match was to have Hogan hit the leg drop on Sid, then have Papa Shango run in to break it up, leading to a DQ. In reality, for whatever reason, Papa Shango missed his cue, so Sid kicked out and Harvey Whippleman instead interfered, leading to a DQ finish. Shango eventually made his way down to the ring, but well after the planned spot. Number 7. Razor Ramon gets tired of waiting. Titles changing by botched finished is just as rare as someone kicking out of Hogan's leg drop, but it still happens. One of those occasions happened to be on a house show in 1995 between Razor Ramon and Jeff Jarrett. The two were competing in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. The plan was to have Jarrett win the match. However, he forgot his cue to enter back into the ring and stop Razor from reaching the belt. Rather than just stall, Razor went and grabbed the belt, winning the match. The title did change back to Double J just days later. Number 8. Caitlyn becomes #1 contender by accident. It's a bit embarrassing when a push is given to you because of a botched finish. Such a botch came from the Divas #1 contender Battle Royal in August 2012. Eve Torres was set to win the Battle Royal, but that didn't stop Caitlyn from eliminating her, winning the match and the #1 contendership to the Divas Championship. The incident was discussed by both Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez on the Wrestling Observer podcast, and they both noted Eve was supposed to win but missed the apron on a clothesline spot and landed on the floor. That was why there was confusion immediately afterwards, and Layla had a look of shock on her face. Number 9. Hardcore Holly's hardcore title win. The introduction of the 24/7 rule meant that title changes during hardcore matches could change multiple times during the match. At Wrestlemania 2000, the title changed numerous times during the 13-man hardcore pinfall battle royal. Crash Holly was set to come out the victor and continue his reign as hardcore champion. However, during the last couple of seconds of the match, Crash failed to kick out of a pin attempt by Hardcore Holly. In fact, he wasn't supposed to kick out at all, as the buzzer was supposed to stop whilst Crash was being pinned. Number 10. Sensational Sherri is on autopilot. It was Shawn Michaels' debut WrestleMania as a singles competitor, so he had a lot to prove. Unfortunately, his match with El Matador was so-so, with everything going to plan until the ending looked completely flat, with Michaels getting the win with a limp body press to Santana. The original plan was to have Sherri replicate Bobby Heenan's managerial tactics at WrestleMania 5 when he held down the Ultimate Warrior's leg, preventing him from kicking out. Sherri seemed to be on autopilot at the time and missed her cue completely, leading to the flat finish. Well guys, that wraps up this video today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, turn notifications on, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.